Imagine you're looking at a clock. It's 3:46 a.m., January 15th, 2197. You feel like, well, you're comfortable in your own head.
You're settled.
Right. Maybe you're singular, the default setting, one mind, one brain. Or maybe you're from that era, you've chosen to be plural. You've got 17 distinct people living in your head.
And it feels normal. It's your normal.
You have a name, a history, a self that feels, I don't know, solid, unbreakable.
And then the clock ticks over, 3:47 a.m.
And just like that, without a sound, without any warning, the entire structure of you inverts.
History calls it the inversion. And looking through these sources, catastrophe just doesn't feel like a big enough word.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling a stack of sources that, I have to be honest, kept me up all night. It really does read like a horror story.
But it's framed as history.
Exactly. A chronicle of this.
Yeah.
This radical transformation. So our mission today isn't just to look at the sci-fi of it all. It's to ask a really terrifying question. What happens when the architecture of your mind changes, but you are still stuck inside it?
It's the ultimate test of adaptability, isn't it? And we have to be clear, the world described here had already moved way beyond our idea of consciousness.
Oh, yeah. The golden age of cognitive choice.
Right. People weren't just born singular, and that was it. You had plurals. You had these unified collectives, people who chose to be silent ones and just suppressed language.
It sounds kind of utopian on paper.
It does, until 3:47 a.m., when 47% of the human race, everyone not in that default singular state, woke up as their exact opposite.
And that number, 47%. That's planetary scale chaos.
It's not just confusion. The sources are clear on this. We're talking about biological shock.
I really want to get granular here because the details in these sources are they're visceral. It's not an, oh, I feel a bit different kind of thing. Let's take the case of Sarah Nakamura.
Sarah's the textbook case, really. The perfect example of the singular to plural inversion.
Right. So Sarah, she goes to bed, a singular woman, very focused, one-track mind. She wakes up at 3:47 a.m., and she's not alone anymore.
Not at all. She has 17 distinct consciousnesses just crashing into awareness at the same time, in one brain.
And they're not a team.
No, the source says they were like strangers in a dark room, all screaming at once.
The detail that really got me, though, was the physical part. The source calls it respiratory dissonance.
Yes.
It wasn't just mental. Sarah's body physically stopped working because, instance 4 was gasping in panic, instance 9 was trying to hold her breath to listen.
And instance 1 was trying to scream.
So her diaphragm just froze. She was suffocating because her own minds couldn't agree on the basic act of breathing.
That's the biological reality of it. Coordination isn't automatic, it's a negotiation. She had to learn how to conduct an internal choir in seconds just to get oxygen.
And then you have the complete opposite. The flip side of the coin, which I find this even more terrifying, Mira Kim.
Oh, Mira's story is it's tragic. She had been plural for 197 years. A perfect symphony of 17 instances, all integrated.
But she wakes up.
And it's all gone. Silence.
The text uses the word amputation.
It fits, doesn't it? She describes the silence in her head not as peaceful, but as this deafening void.
Like walking into your house and your entire family has just vanished.
Exactly. She talked about trying to make breakfast. She goes to grab the kettle, the mug, the spoon, and she just freezes.
Because she was used to having the mental bandwidth to track 17 things at once.
Right. She had only ever done things in parallel. Suddenly, she's singular. She has one track of focus. She literally didn't know how to do a sequential task anymore.
First this, then that. She had to relearn that.
It's called serial processing shock, just a fundamental breakdown of her reality.
And we can't skip the Unity 12 tragedy, the scale of this one. 89 million bodies.
This is the heavy part of the source material. Unity 12 was a hive mind. 89 million people in a constant shared state of connection.
No loneliness. Ever.
And in a nanosecond, the network just snaps. They wake up as 89 million isolated single individuals.
And the suicide rates in the first 48 hours for that group are how do you cope?
The sources suggest you don't. That's the harsh truth. They went from we to I, and for them, I was solitary confinement.
There are so many other fascinating cases. The silent ones who suddenly start vomiting uncontrollable speech. But the one that felt the most cruel to me was Sarah Okonkwo.
Ah, yes, the forgotten ones.
Her case just challenges your whole definition of memory.
Yeah.
Sarah had used tech to selectively delete the memory of her daughter's death. was how she survived.
A necessary procedure for her. The grief was literally going to kill her, so she excised it.
And the inversion didn't just flip her configuration, it flipped her memory access. She woke up, and the grief was fresh, like it had just happened.
It restored the data. And that raises such a hard question, right? Is your identity what you remember, or is it what you choose to forget? The inversion basically said, you don't get to choose.
So, okay, the dust starts to settle. We get to week 2. The screaming has mostly stopped. And now humanity hits this huge philosophical wall. The sources call it the ship of Theseus crisis.
The classic paradox. If you replace every plank on a ship, one by one, is it still the same ship at the end?
So if Sarah is now 17 people, is she still Sarah? Or did Sarah die at 3:47 a.m.?
Exactly. And there was this controversial paper referenced by Dr. Zara Thompson.
Oh, yeah. The inversion is existential gift. I'd have to say, reading that title while also reading about the mass suicides,
Yeah.
it made me angry. How is this a gift?
It's a provocative stance for sure, but I think what Thompson was getting at was the destruction of what she called the illusion of solidity. We think we are fixed things.
I am an introvert. I'm singular.
Precisely. Thompson's argument was that the inversion proved identity is just clothing. The real you is whatever is underneath that configuration. The gift was seeing that you aren't your brain's structure.
And it created this new class of people that twice experienced.
People who knew both extremes. You can't truly understand silence until you've lived in noise.
Okay, but that understanding broke a lot of people. The sources outlined 4 main survival strategies. And they didn't all work. First up, you have the embracers.
These are the pragmatists. This is your Sarah 17. She stopped fighting the chaos in her head and started organizing it.
She made a spreadsheet for her own mind.
Pretty much. She assigned roles. Sarah 1 makes decisions. Sarah 4 handles motor control. Sarah 9 is in charge of memory. She became expertly plural.
Which is incredible. But then you have the complete opposite, the fighters. This is Mira again.
And Mira's story just breaks my heart. She refused to accept she was singular. She kept 17 different journals, used 17 toothbrushes.
She was performing her old identity.
Yes, she would speak in different octaves just to try and simulate the chorus she'd lost. It's denial as a survival mechanism.
Then you had the oscillators. Dr. Tanaka.
Tanaka is so interesting. She found a loophole. She realized she didn't have to be static. She learned to modulate between, say, 4 distinct minds, or 9. She found agency in the flux itself.
Then finally, the hardest path, the integrators.
This takes the most cognitive horsepower. Sarah Okonkwo did this. She had to accept she was both the mother who forgot her child and the mother who remembered.
She wrote letters to her dead daughter.
To bridge the gap between her two selves, it's this radical acceptance of contradiction.
So while all this internal struggle is happening, society itself is just shattering.
It had to. Every institution we have is built on the assumption that people are stable, that you are the same person tomorrow.
The statistic that jumps out is the divorce rate hitting 47%, which, perfectly matches the inversion rate.
And it's not just we grew apart. It's legal chaos. Imagine you married a plural person. You loved the whole chorus of them. Then they wake up singular. To you, the person you married is dead.
The source mentions a husband who sued his wife, who had inverted into a collective for abandonment by expansion.
I remember that. His argument was, there are too many of you now. I didn't sign up for a group marriage. How does a court even rule on that?
And parenting. The story of Jiwoo, who inverted from singular to plural, her kids suddenly have 14 mothers in one body.
And they didn't all like the kids equally.
That part was chilling. Instance 3 loves the son, but instance 5 is totally indifferent. How does a 6-year-old even process that?
They process it through trauma, or, and this is the big pivot in the sources, they process it by evolving.
This brings us to the kids. Homo configuratus, the generation born after the inversion.
The children, they are the key to the entire story.
There's this one quote from a child in the source asking a teacher, why did the old people think configuration was permanent? That's like thinking your shirt is your skin.
It just stops you cold, doesn't it? For us, the inversion is this unimaginable horror. For them, it was just weather. It rains, you get wet, your mind inverts, you adapt.
They were configuration fluid.
Exactly. They didn't attach their sense of self to the structure of their mind. If they woke up plural one day, it was a fun new game. Woke up singular, they enjoyed the quiet.
They never had the ship of Theseus crisis because they never believed they were the ship.
They knew they were the ocean.
And while the kids are playing in this new reality, one of the adults, Dr. Yarakos, is just staring at a wall.
I love Dr. Kos's story. She was this brilliant mathematician who got inverted into an unknowing state, lost her genius. But the source suggests that because her mind became simple, she saw a simple truth.
She saw the pattern.
That the inversion wasn't a glitch.
It was a feature.
Right. Consciousness isn't a noun, it's a verb. It cycles. And Dr. Tanaga's team ran the numbers based on her insight and confirmed it. The cycle is exactly 53 years.
Which means it's going to happen again.
January 15, 2250. The second inversion is coming.
So humanity gets 27 years to prepare, and you see this huge split. The adults are either terrified or they're hopeful, like Mira, who just wants her voices back.
But the kids
are just checking their watches. They're ready.
So 2250 arrives, the second inversion. And it's not a simple reset. You don't just go back to who you were.
No, you can't unring that bell. Take Sarah, 17. She spent 53 years mastering being plural, built a whole life around it. The clock ticks, and she collapses back into a singular body.
And she grieves. The source says she spent months mourning the loss of her 16 other selves.
They were her sisters. They were also her. A mass casualty event inside one person.
But then you have Mira,
who joyfully explodes back into 17 voices. She said it was like coming home after holding her breath for half a century.
But even for her, it wasn't the same. It couldn't be. She was now plural who knows singular. She carried the memory of the silence with her.
The phantom limb. Everyone carried the ghost of their opposite configuration.
And with the cycle confirmed to be permanent, humanity finally had to accept that stability is an illusion.
Which fundamentally changes a species. You can't build a rigid society if you know the floor is going to drop out from under you every few decades.
So let's fast forward. The source takes us way into the future. Year 2353. We're getting close to the fourth inversion, and things get strange.
They get very strange. We meet a character called Simplifier 1.
And this is where the story shifts from trauma to just exhaustion. Simplifier 1 is almost 300 years old. She's been through 3 full cycles. She's been singular, plural, unified, knowing, unknowing.
She's been every flavor of human there is, and she's tired.
It's called complexity fatigue. I mean, think about it. We get tired after a long week. Imagine 300 years of having your mind rewired. You've downloaded every possible perspective. Eventually, you just want to turn off the Wi-Fi.
And this starts the void return movement.
Right. We tend to think of evolution as always moving toward more complexity, more intelligence. These people argued for a philosophy of less.
That peak consciousness isn't maximum complexity. It's, what do they call it? Sophisticated simplicity.
Exactly. And the source describes Dr. Ayla Yukikovic's simplification chamber. It's technology designed to systematically delete higher cognition, language, memory, complex thought.
Until there's just the bare sensation of existing.
It's digital minimalism for the soul.
So in a world where you're forced to be everything, the ultimate luxury is to choose to be almost nothing.
It's a retirement plan from the business of being a person.
Okay, let's zoom out. We've gone from the sheer panic of the first inversion through this societal rebuild to accepting the cycle, and now this desire for the void. What is the takeaway here? Why should we, sitting here with our presumably stable minds, care about this?
I think the whole journey just strips away the comfort we have in our own labels. We spend our whole lives trying to answer, who am I?
And the inversion suggests that's just the wrong question.
It is, because the answer changes every 53 years. The source is telling us that identity isn't some statue you carve and then admire for the rest of your life. It's water. It takes the shape of its container.
We are not what we are. We are what we become.
And that's the hopeful part of this really dark story. Humans can literally lose the structure of their minds, and they still find a way to make breakfast. They still find a way to love their kids, even if 14 different voices are telling them how.
It all comes back to Homo configuratus.
Yeah.
The next step in evolution isn't being smarter. It's just being more flexible.
Total flexibility, letting go of that desperate need to be just one thing forever.
That is a terrifying and a liberating thought to end on. So here's something I want you to mull over today. If you woke up tomorrow as your exact opposite, if the quietest part of you became the loudest and everything you do just vanished, what is the one thing about you that would remain? Is there a core you, or is it all just configuration?
That's the one that will keep you up at night.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next cycle.